Hello and welcome to this quiz on late modern history. I've got myself a lovely spot here on the deck of the Titanic. We're going to cover the period from 1820 up to present day. Now obviously I can't cover everything that happened during that period in the scope of this quiz, so I've just picked some interesting questions that I think you'll enjoy. So if you're ready, let's play this quiz. Who is credited with the first confirmed sighting of Antarctica in 1820? James Cook, Fabian von Bellingshausen or Roald Amundsen? The answer is von Bellingshausen. Which war began on April the 12th, 1861 with the bombardment of Fort Sumter? The Second Anglo-Boer War, the Spanish-American War or the American Civil War? The answer, the American Civil War. Which was an event in 1883 that caused the loudest sound in recorded history? The eruption of Krakatoa, the Hindenburg explosion or the Tunguska asteroid impact? That was the eruption of Krakatoa. Which event was the start of the European colonization Scramble for Africa? The Berlin Conference, the Treaty of Paris or the Treaty of Rome? That was the Berlin Conference. Who is credited with inventing the first practical automobile patented in 1885? Henry Ford, Carl Benz or Wilhelm Maybach? That was Carl Benz. Nobel Prizes were first awarded in 1901. Who became the first woman to win one? Marie Sklodowska-Curie, Irene Joliot-Curie or Ada Yonath? And boy, those names are tough to say. The answer is Marie Sklodowska-Curie. What event made history at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina on December the 17th, 1903? Marconi sent the first radio signal, the Wright brothers' first successful flight, or Bell made the first telephone call? That was the Wright brothers' first successful flight. In 1904, the Empire of Japan started a war with which other empire? The Russian, British or Ottoman? The answer, the Russian. What was the intended destination of the Titanic before it sank? Philadelphia, Boston or New York? The answer, New York. What was the name of the Archduke whose assassination kicked off World War I? Franz Ferdinand, Charles Louis or Philippe Frederick? The answer, Franz Ferdinand. Which of these empires did not collapse due to the effects of World War I? The Ottoman, Russian or British? The answer, the British. Who abdicated the throne during the Russian Revolution? Peter the Great, Nicholas II or Alexander II? The answer, Nicholas II. The flu pandemic of 1918 to 19 had which name? Spanish flu, swine flu or German flu? It was Spanish flu. The treaty to end World War I was signed at which French site? The Eiffel Tower, Palace of Versailles or Lyon Cathedral? And that picture there is of Germans protesting against it. The answer is Palace of Versailles. The League of Nations, formed after World War I, was based in which European city? Geneva, Paris or Berlin? The answer, Geneva. What was discovered by Howard Carter in 1922? Penicillin, Pluto or the tomb of Tutankhamun? The answer, the tomb of Tutankhamun. Charles Lindbergh made the first non-stop transatlantic flight in history from New York to which European city? Paris, London or Brussels? The answer, Paris. Who is best known for his discovery of the effects of penicillin in 1928? Louis Pasteur, Alexander Fleming or Jonas Salk? And it's a very interesting story of how it happened and was later developed. The correct answer is Alexander Fleming. Amelia Earhart was the first woman to fly solo across which body of water? the Atlantic Ocean, Mediterranean Sea, or Pacific Ocean? The answer, the Atlantic. Enacted by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the New Deal was designed to address which? War in Europe, a trade war with China, or the Great Depression? The answer, the Great Depression. The Second World War started in which month of 1939? September, November, or March? It started on the 1st of September. What term did Winston Churchill give to the division of Europe after World War II? The Berlin Wall, the Iron Curtain, or the Eastern Bloc? The answer, the Iron Curtain. What name was given to the American plan to help rebuild Europe after World War II? The Marshall, Montgomery, or MacDonald? The answer, the Marshall Plan. Who founded the People's Republic of China in 1949? Mao Zedong, Kim Il-sung, or Chiang Kai-shek? The answer, Mao Zedong. In 1952, Albert Einstein was offered the presidency of which country but refused? Canada, Switzerland, or Israel? The answer, Israel. In 1952, which country became the first to detonate a hydrogen bomb? The Soviet Union, United States, or France? It was the United States. What was the British-French-Israeli invasion of Egypt in 1956 called? The Yom Kippur War, the Six-Day War, or the Suez Crisis? That was the Suez Crisis. What event is thought to have started the space race? Sputnik 1 launch, the creation of NASA, or intercontinental missiles invented? The answer? Sputnik 1 launched. In 1960, the FDA approved the sale of the first what? Sleeping pill, oral contraceptive pill, or weight loss drug? The other two were much earlier. The answer is oral contraceptive pill. Who led the Soviets during the Cuban Missile Crisis? Was it Stalin, Khrushchev, or Lenin? And it was Khrushchev. Which US president signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 into law? Ford, Kennedy, or Johnson? That was Johnson. Augusto Pinochet overthrew the government of which country in a coup? Chile, Ecuador, or Peru? The answer is Chile. The Vietnam War ended with the fall of which city? Hanoi, Nha Trang, or Saigon? The answer, Saigon. The Shah of which country was overthrown in a revolution in 1979? Iran, Thailand, or Japan? That is Iran. Name the 1979 crisis in which 53 Americans were taken hostage for 444 days. The Lebanon, Entebbe, or Iran hostage crisis? That was the Iran hostage crisis. The Solidarity trade union movement was very influential in which European country? Hungary, Poland, or Bulgaria? That one is Poland. What was the name of the first space shuttle launched in April 1981? Atlantis, Columbia, or Discovery? That was Columbia. In which present-day country was the 1986 Chernobyl nuclear disaster? Ukraine, Belarus, or Latvia? That was in Ukraine. A speech mistakenly announcing free travel led to which major 1989 event? The fall of the Berlin Wall, the Tiananmen Square protests, or the Falklands War? That was the fall of the Berlin Wall. The Velvet Revolution happened in which country? Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, or Poland? That happened in Czechoslovakia. In the disease BSE, which hit the headlines in 1990, what does the B stand for? British, bovine, or blood? The answer is bovine. What was the name of the US Gulf War operation in Kuwait in 1991? Desert Storm, Operation Overlord, or Rolling Thunder? The answer is Desert Storm. Who was the first president of Russia after the fall of the Soviet Union? Vladimir Putin, Mikhail Gorbachev, or Boris Yeltsin? It was Boris Yeltsin. Who was the first black president of South Africa elected after the end of apartheid? Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, or Thabo Mbeki? The answer? Nelson Mandela. In 1998, Larry Page and Sergey Brin founded which future internet giant in a garage? Yahoo, eBay, or Google? The answer is Google. Who was held responsible for the 9/11 terrorist attacks against the United States? Al-Qaeda, ISIS, or the Taliban? The answer? Al-Qaeda. Within weeks of the 9/11 attacks, the US responded with military action in which country, marking the start of the global war on terrorism? Iraq, Afghanistan, or Iran? The answer? Afghanistan. Which North African country saw the first of the Arab Spring revolutions in 2010? Tunisia, Morocco, or Egypt? That was in Tunisia. Cases of COVID-19 were first reported in Wuhan in which month of 2019? December, October, or July? The answer is December. In which year did Russia launch a full-scale invasion of Ukraine? 2020, 2021, or 2022? The answer? 2022. Before we finish, I've got one last bonus question for you, and also, if you enjoy history quizzes, I'll put a playlist for you of other quizzes that I've made on history at the end of this video. So anyway, here's your final bonus question. When President Assad of Syria fled in early 2025, which city did he flee to? Beijing, Moscow, or Minsk? And the answer for your bonus point here is Moscow.